speak up. I know people are congregating for the official program here, but I just wanted to say a brief word of thanks to JHS and to all of the amazing work that you've done over the course of the last 30 years. For those of you who didn't hear the quick introduction, my name is Chris Murphy, and I'm the relatively new United States Senator from Connecticut. And it's just such a joy to hear some of the amazing work that you're doing. I'm so sorry that I won't be able to see this really extraordinary film. I got the chance to spend a few moments backstage with Mr. Miller, and I think about the contribution that you're making, and just from my perspective to tell you why I am so thankful. I think that what you are doing, the story that you are able to tell here, lends some really important perspective to a lot of the debates that we're having in Washington right now. If you want to understand why people are so concerned about a country like Iran obtaining a nuclear weapon, then it's the archives and the work that you've done to preserve Jewish history that help to tell that story. If you want to know why people are crying out to step in and do something about the bloodshed and the genocidal activity happening in places like Syria, in Central Africa, then it is the archives and this historical record that you are building that help lend that perspective and help grow that imperative. And so I just want to make the connection between what you have done here, what families like the Millers and the Manns have helped to build. You're wonderful to honor both of them here today. I have two citations for both families, for Irwin and Vivian Miller, and then for the Mann family, speaking to their contributions. I know you'll spend some time talking about everything that they've done, but I hope you'll involve me in these projects and in this work going forward. I'm sorry that I can't stay here with you, but on behalf of myself and Senator Blumenthal, thank you to the Historical Society for 30 years of great work. We know there's 30 more years ahead. Enjoy your evening.
Good afternoon, Mayor Martin, honorees, and your families, members, guests, and friends. I'm Ava Weller. I'm the president of the Jewish Historical Society of Fairfield County, and want to welcome and thank you all for being with us at this special milestone marking 30 years of the Jewish Historical Society. Thank you to board member Edith Needle for providing the delightful background music while we had our social hour. I hope you all had a chance to view the Shik Haggadah, one of JHS's most valued treasures and captivating in the multiple stories it depicts. Our traveling exhibit, which is over to the right, A Slice of American Jewish Life, tells the story of our collective Jewish history here in Fairfield County through the 1980s. That's the same period that the interactive timeline, which you see along the wall, begins in capturing 30 years of our JHS story. Here's an opportunity for you to add your memories. If you missed any of these while enjoying some social time, you will have another opportunity after the program ends while dessert is being served. Please take a few moments to look at the journal later, and as it tells more about our organization, past and present, and so much more about our honorees. A special thanks to Gail Trell and her committee for putting the commemorative journal together as a keepsake for all of us. Your contributions from all of you have made this a special tribute to our honorees. Now I want to introduce Cantor Magna Fishman of Temple Beth El, who will perform a most appropriate music tribute, L'Ador V'Dor, which translates from generation to generation.
We are whole and we are learning to be strong. We are words and we are stories. We are pictures of the past. We are carriers of wisdom, not the first and not the last. לדור ודור נגיד גודלך. לדור ודור we protect this chain. From generation to generation. לדור ודור these lips will praise your name. לדור ודור נגיד גודלך. לדור ודור we protect this chain. From generation to generation. לדור ודור these lips will praise your name. Looking back on the journey that we carry in our hearts, from the shadow of the mountain to the waters that would part. We are blessed and we are holy. We are children of your wedding, and the words that brings us meaning, we will have the strength to say. לדור ודור נגיד גודלך. לדור ודור we protect this chain. From generation to generation. לדור ודור these lips will praise your name. לדור ודור נגיד גודלך. לדור ודור we protect this chain. From generation to generation. לדור ודור these lips will praise your name. לדור ודור these lips will praise your name.
Thank you so much. That was really quite powerful, very moving. Thank you. 30 years. Today, we look back at the genesis of JHS, reflect on its continuing evolution, and plan for a bright future. Our theme of legacy and leadership appropriately honors those who have spent timeless hours over the years growing this organization and providing service to the community at large. With a shared vision to preserve and enjoy the rich local Jewish history of Stamford, this small group of 9, not all natives to the area, laid the foundations for the society that we cherish today. Our founder, Irwin Miller, joined by his wife Vivian and others, planted the seed for this society, which has evolved into the Jewish Historical Society of Fairfield County, and one of only 3 Jewish historical societies in the state, with the only Jewish archives in the county. Today we acknowledge years of generosity and leadership and pay tribute to an exceptional couple, Norma and Milton Mann, who have demonstrated significant and lasting commitment to the Jewish and Stamford community over decades, leaving a significant legacy through their many gifts of time and talent. Today we not only look back, but also to the future by acknowledging 5 emerging young leaders in the Jewish community for outstanding service to youth, so that our heritage will continue to be shared into the next generation. In 2010, we began a visionary process we call 2020 to grow and secure our future by improving services, modernizing and acquiring necessary resources, and strengthening our infrastructure so that we can serve the entire Fairfield County for the year 2020. We have 5 more years to reach 2020 and are well on our way. We invite you to join us in telling your and your community's story. What better way to cement our heritage than capturing our local history and sharing it in a way that people can experience as their own? Join us and work with us to capture your special stories, history, and heritage. The Jewish greater story of Fairfield County is your story and our story. It is my pleasure to introduce someone that you all know, and it's really an honor to have Mayor Martin and his wife Judy bring greetings from the city of Stamford. So, Mayor Martin.
Thank you very much, Eva. I was kind of looking at the technical difficulties there, so I lost track of what was happening. But I have proclamations. Before I was going to say that,
March of 2015.
on March of 2015, do you want to do the video? Let's do the video. Or just checking the details. I'm not going to capture the words correctly, so give me a little bit of consideration here. I believe it's always about the future. We have to look forward to what we can achieve and what we're trying to achieve. And somehow, and I haven't quite put it together yet, but I've got a few more years in life to get this figured out. In order to understand where it is in the future, you also have to look back into the past. We have to know what our struggles were, what our successes were. And without knowing that, I don't know how we can measure our progress to where it is that we want to be as a people, as a species, whether it be in the city of Stamford or whether it be across the globe. And so, while we have some honors here, nonetheless, to the Jewish Historical Society, which I guess is 30 years young today or with this year, but nonetheless, without someone to look back and keep that repository and knowledge of history so that we can understand, as I said before, our struggles and our successes and to know where to go next, I think we would be lost. And so I say congratulations to you, the Historical Society, for your 30 years. And listen, we are going to have a big cake after 30 more years. But I also have some proclamations. I am not going to read them all. But I did want to say that, first of all, to the, let me see if I get these right here, to Milton and Norma Mann, who've made such a difference in our community, and I guess we have their daughters here today, and I believe you'll be giving a presentation to them later, but when you read through this program, the contributions that your parents have made to the community reach far and wide, and I guess that's part of what we're going to hear in the video. Am I right about that? This is more about the Millers. But having said that, the sentiments expressed, you know, and I read a lot of programs, but some of the sentiments expressed in this program are really profound. And so I want to say to you, we're proclaiming June 7th to be Norma and Milton Mann Day in recognition of them, and we have a proclamation for you that says as much. And also, I believe it was, I've got so many proclamations. If you guys if you didn't have so many good people, this would be a lot easier. Where are we here? Here we are. So this one is for the Historical Society, this one is for you, and this one is for Vivian and Irwin Miller. And I understand that Irwin is here right now, and part of your legacy and part of what is keeping the future alive is, in fact, you were one that helped found the Jewish Historical Society so many years ago. And so here we are 30 years later, your child, and with honoring you with, and we have a proclamation, and I'm sorry, you're going to have to share June 7th because it is also Vivian and Irwin Miller Day. Okay. But thank you very much. And I want to see the film.
At this time, I'd like to introduce Susan Berger Sabrine, a member of our board. Susan is a friend, a journalist, TV producer, and filmmaker who lives in Stamford. She has worked as an on-air TV reporter and created and ran the original Cablevision News 12 operation, which began in Fairfield County and won Cable Ace Awards as the best local newscast in the country each year that she was news director. She recently produced 10 sessions of a national children's health show for PBS, Keeping Kids Healthy, for which she was nominated for 9 Emmy Awards, winning 5. She is now working on a fascinating film about the unknown story of a Turkish Jew who secretly smuggled over 3,500 Jews out of Syria into Israel during the last half of the 20th century. Susan created and is pleased to share her film, It's About Us. And a few words.
Hi, just very briefly, this was going to be just like a minute or two. Oh, it was going to be, can you hear me? It was going to be just a minute or two, just we're a great society, we do all these terrific things. And to do it, I started looking through the archives and went through hour and hour after these one-on-one interviews that have been done with all these people, and there were such gems hidden in there that I just decided that you should see some of them. So that's what this film is about. It's about all of these stories about people you know, but the things you don't know about them.
So all of that was compiled and gleaned from our holdings that we have. So thank you, Susan, for taking the time to go through that and so much more in order to get these gems. With that, I'd like to let you know that we have a list of organizations that we consider as community partners, and we have 2 representatives here today to represent some of those organizations. We have a list amongst our timeline, but at this time I would like to invite James Cohn, Chief Executive Officer of the United Jewish Federation, to come up, and also Al Kaprowski, who's the past president of the Polish American Cultural Society, to say a few words.
Thank you. It's a tough act to follow Marilyn Monroe's bosoms, but I'll give it a shot. And bathrobes and all kinds of, that's a wonderful film. I was at my daughter's birthday party this afternoon, and I left the house the minute she finished opening her gifts, and she said, "Where are you going?" I said, "I'm going to the Jewish Historical Society." She said, "That sounds serious." I said, "Maybe they do serious things, but I'm sure they throw a very nice party." And they certainly do. It's really an honor to be here with our partner, the Jewish Historical Society, for so many reasons. First and foremost, because the Mann family is being honored today. Norma and Milton Mann were wonderful members of the Federation family, really leaders in our effort to build legacy in the community, and to be here with their family today is truly, truly an honor, and it's nice to see you again. Mazel tov to all the other honorees today. Everything that you've done for the Jewish Historical Society and for the greater Stamford and Fairfield County community is truly inspiring, and it's really a pleasure to be here to celebrate with you. As the CEO of an organization that's charged with making sure that there's a Jewish future in our community, being a partner with an organization that so beautifully reminds us of our past is really a match made in heaven. And I'm particularly proud of what Jewish Historical Society and the Federation are doing to make sure that that tomorrow is bright, working together to provide programs and things of interest for our community. Perhaps most interesting and most rewarding are the PJ Library events that have been taking place in the Jewish Historical Society, 8 this year alone, where preschoolers and elementary school students are being read PJ Library books supplied by the Federation in the Jewish Historical Society Library at the JCC, linking the past, the present, and the future. That's what our partnership is really all about. It's what our organizations are all about. It's what everybody who cares about our community stands for, and is something about which we should all be very proud. So I thank even the board for supporting that, for everything that you do, for this lovely afternoon, and here's to the next 30 years. Thank you.
Good afternoon. On behalf of the Polish American Cultural Society of Stamford, and I am a member of the Jewish Historical Society, I would like to present the book here that is the history of Jews in Poland. I don't know if you're aware of it, but Poland opened up a history museum that depicts the entire history of the Jewish community in Poland. I notice your menorah near the bathrooms that has the Jewish menorah, but it has in the middle the Polish eagle with the crown, which was always a symbol of Poland without communism. Communism took away the symbol of the crown. And I also want to say, Mr. Schick, we presented in cooperation with the Jewish Historical Society last year in New Canaan, a program there. And at this time, I'd like to just give this to our president. And here are 2 pamphlets that also go along with it. It took me 3.5 hours to go through this guided tour of the museum when I was in Poland in March. I invite you all to come to Poland, see the real Poland, see where Hasidics were born, where they formed, and the proud Jewish heritage that you have there. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Al. I'll put this out for people to look at later. You may know Ron Marcus as the historian for the Stamford Historical Society, but you may not know that he was one of the incorporators of the Stamford Jewish Historical Society as it was known in the beginning. Ron, along with Irwin Miller, Sherry Sherman, Larry Ginsberg, George Goldberg, Shirley DeMott, Bert Spelke, Barbara Holtz, and Ruth Spiegel were the members of the first board. As a friend and colleague of Irwin and Vivian, Ron has some special memories to share. Ron, would you come up?
Irwin, sorry, I lumped myself seeing Irwin. Irwin, 30 years. It just doesn't seem possible. It just doesn't seem possible. Our mayor started this with a mentioning about how the past is definitely relevant to what we have today. And certainly I think of that famous quotation from Shakespeare, from The Tempest, which so eloquently states that what is past is prologue, and indeed it is. And here we are today, 30 years later, this fledgling little organization has evolved into this, and for this I truly thank everyone for making this possible. It was just, at that time we had no idea. We had no idea what was going to happen. We tried our best, And it seems as though that it is, what has evolved into today is just really magnificent, but yet there is still much more to be done. Irwin, just walking into Irwin's house was just a marvelous adventure. Visiting Irwin and Vivian was like visiting an American Judaic library. Truly, everywhere there were books about the American or the European Jewish experience. It truly was just remarkable. His dedication, with the assistance of Vivian, to preserving the Jewish experience from this area was amazing. More so, his knowledge of the families was just amazing, really. We have at Stamford Historical Society, beginning in the 1950s and 60s, we accumulated tax records from various other city agencies, and the Ferguson Library had some, and so on, tax records of Stamford in the 18th and early 19th century. And I was going down them and scanning them and so forth, and I thought, this is an unusual name, Pinto. What could that possibly be? And so on. And not realizing, Irwin came over and he said, "Oh, Pinto." He said, "These are Jews." I said, "Really?" He said, yes. And he was so excited because apparently at some point they disappeared from New York and re-emerged in Rhode Island. But where were they in that interim period? And there was no documentation. And Irwin pointed out, this is the documentation. This proves that they were in Stamford during that time. This is marvelous. And, it's just little things like that just, Irwin just brought to the forefront about this. His patience. I had the privilege of working with him on research projects in the Stamford Town Clerk's office. We have all our records back to 1641 of the land records, and which is truly something to be thankful for. And working with them, with Irwin, was just really a great pleasure to do that. It's just marvelous what the Jewish Historical Society of Fairfield County has done and is continuing and doing. And I just want to end this by saying that in our Western civilization, the foremost sources of the quotes we use in everyday language come from two principal sources: Shakespeare and Holy Scripture. And I would just like to end this by saying that it reminds me of all of this, what is going on today, reminds me of that famous statement from Ecclesiastes: "Remember the days of old, consider the days of yore, remember thyself, ask thy fathers, and they will tell thee, thy elders, and they will instruct thee." Thank you so much for this. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ron. Now I'd like to introduce Irwin and Vivian's family members. We want to thank Courtney and Josh, two grandchildren, for putting together a PowerPoint, and to Arthur Miller, the Miller's son, who will provide commentary. And I hope we'll have a better luck getting this go smoothly.
They're going to start it?
I don't know who is starting this. Do we know? I wonder if we need to
So this apparently is being narrated, or is it automatic?
I can't control it from
understand that
here,
you're-
but I'll make a few comments as
Tell me
we
when
go.
to switch them on.
Do you
All
want
right.
me to do the,
No, I'll do it.
All right.
All right.
thank you, Rabbi. All-purpose Rabbi.
I always dreamed of being able to tell the rabbi what to do instead of the other way around growing up. All right,
You can go on to, Eileen, are you back there?
He can't do that, too.
No. Scene 2.
all right. So if you'll go to the next slide, please.
go to the next one?
Yes, please. And some of these quotes are from, oh, I'm sorry. Can you hear me better? Yes. All right. I'm just going to move it a little bit to the side so I can at the same time see. All right. In any event, these are some materials that have been written about my parents and their love of Jewish history. You can see that my father refers to a visit that he made when he was 4 years old to Gettysburg. I can particularly relate to that because, of course, when we were growing up, he took us to Gettysburg, and it was a very different visit to the Gettysburg battlefield that I'm sure most Americans visiting the battlefield had, because the focus was on the participation of Jewish soldiers at Gettysburg, knowing exactly where certain Jewish soldiers and regiments fought in the battle. It really made it, in a sense, to me at least, more concrete than having this amorphous number of soldiers fighting in this battle, and realizing that in some cases it would be distant ancestors of ours, and others just Jews that my father had researched, etc., had fought there. And more recently, about 14, 15 years ago, when I had the pleasure of taking my parents to first Washington, D.C., and then to Gettysburg, it was a little bit of reliving those memories, because did the same thing. He knew exactly where he wanted to go, where he wanted to show me and my wife and my children, where, again, certain Jews had fought, where distant ancestors of ours had fought. And there was a connection both to my youth and to the battlefield as well. And one other thing I should mention, one thing that I remember growing up was how he could make things so personal. So he explained to us how when at the age of 13 years old, he introduced himself to two Jewish veterans of the Civil War. He reached out to them, contacted them, and had the pleasure of meeting them, and never forgot that moment. I certainly was not capable of doing that at 13 years old. Next slide, please. My mother, unfortunately, could not be here tonight. Many of you have heard that about a month ago or so she fell and broke her hip, so she is recovering from that. But she was an integral part of what we grew up with, visiting Jewish cemeteries, battlefields. Still not loud enough? Okay, all right. Is it better now? All right, so I'll try to speak a little louder with them. And, you know, I always thought about, well, did my mother have this interest herself in this? Well, perhaps not immediately, but I think it sort of seeped into her over the years of traipsing with my father through Jewish cemeteries and other sites throughout the country, and later on when they traveled to Europe, for example. And that became a real part of the two of them. When my mother became, I'm not sure if she was the first archivist or certainly an archivist, one of the earlier ones, of the Jewish Historical Society. And they literally spent hours and hours and hours working together, putting together all of this documentation and information to preserve it for the future. If you could go to the next one, please. There are some pictures here now of parents or grandparents of both of my parents. You may not find them quite as interesting as we did, but one thing that I've always found interesting is that he preserved things. You know, even within the family, a lot of people don't have pictures of their grandparents or great-grandparents, etc. And I think Ron was referring to going to my parents' house, and it's like visiting a Jewish library. Well, it's also visiting a Jewish photo gallery, because there's pictures of relatives of ours that died back in the middle to end of the 19th century. And one important thing that my father years ago told me to do, I'll just pass on to you about photographs, etc., is write on the back of those photographs, okay? If you looked over there, you might have seen that there was some type, there was I think it was Dr. Koenig's paper on Stamford jewelry. And if you looked at it, you could see that my father wrote all around it. Well, yes, he wrote all around that, books, any books he read, he would comment on, etc. And on the back of photographs, he always wrote down names, dates, relationships, because he knew that another generation or two later, if that information wasn't there, people wouldn't know who they were. And when you have a name and you have some information, it means so much more than just having a picture of an anonymous person. So I just want to pass on that little bit of advice from my father. This is my mother's, this is my father's parents. We can just go on. And I think that picture might have been taken at my bar mitzvah. We were members of Temple Bethel, and I was bar mitzvah in the old building on Prospect Street. And there's a 3-year-old Irwin Miller. Looked like he was wearing a Navy suit, so he's destined for the Navy. And this is on my mother's side. Let's go on again. And her grandparents. And again, very young mother of mine with her parents. Reference was made earlier to my father serving in the Navy during World War II. He was young. I mean, so many of the soldiers in those days enlisted or as soon as they could, and my father went in when he was I guess it was 18 and a half, 19 years old, served on an attack transport in the Pacific, and came home, and just a few years later married my mother. It's a picture. I don't know that picture. I have a feeling it might be high school graduation picture. I'll have to ask her. There's their wedding photo from 1947. So they've been married, so what is that? I could do the math, 68 years. Pictures of them in their youth. And the 4 siblings, all of whom, including myself, obviously, are here today. And subsequent pictures as well. And we can just continue. And obviously, a much more recent photo from 2008 of all the children, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren. So I wanted to say a few words of appreciation for the honor that you've given to both of my parents today. The society meant so much to them. The idea of preserving history for future generations was something that impelled my father to help found the Historical Society and to be so active in it during good times and bad. I mean, it wasn't always as large as it is tonight. And it became something that also became so meaningful to my mother. And I know she would have loved to have been there today. One last piece of information, one last piece of advice. I spoke to my father Friday night about what was going on today, and if he wanted me to express anything in particular. And although he's now dealing with the infirmities of old age, he passed on one thing that he asked me to specifically pass on to you, because it always meant so much to him. And that's this. He said, don't be so quick to throw things out. You never know what's in there. So save things, and if you don't know if they have any value, approach the society and ask, and you may find a gem in there. Thank you.
At this time, thank you so much, Arthur. At this time, would all the past presidents please come to the front so we can proceed with our award?
Go on this side?
Pick a
That
side,
side?
whatever side. How about this side? Where? This side. Not everyone could be here today, but everyone's photograph is along the wall. So we have, well, actually, I guess you can, Lester Charlack, Arnold Yellen, Maggie Levy, Gail Trell. And
friendly. Oh my gosh.
Make a face, Maggie.
We are so sorry that Vivian Miller is unable to be here to receive the award as she is in Stamford Hospital. Irwin, we are so grateful to you and for you and Vivian's vision, commitment, and passion in capturing and preserving our Jewish history and heritage for future generations, and for your 30 years of continuous service, inspiration, and leadership to provide a legacy for the future. Gail is going to, okay, Maggie's going to bring the award, and Gail is going to read the inscription.
In grateful recognition as our recipients of the JHS Lifetime Achievement Award, the Jewish Historical Society of Fairfield County dedicates the JHS Holdings and Collections, the Vivian and Irwin Miller Archives.
Yes, at this time, we will give a musical tribute to the Millers. And the name is All the Things You Are by Jerome Kern, and I understand that this is a favorite of the Millers.
Of springtime that makes the lonely winter sing long. You are the breathless hush of evening that trembles on a blade of a lovely song. You are the angel glow lights the sky. The dearest things I know are what you are. Someday my happy arms will hold you, and someday I'll know that moment divine when all the things you are mine. divine when all the things you are, all the things you are, all the things you are mine.
Thank you so very much. So we move on to honoring the Manns at this point, and I'd like to first thank their daughters, Madeline Mann and Pamela Mann Barron, and their families for being with us today, especially because I know it is a difficult time, and it's just so wonderful that you're here to help us honor your parents. I'd like to have Dr. Mark Brodsky come up, representing Stamford Hospital. Norma and Milton were involved in so many many different things, and we couldn't have everyone be represented here. But this was a very special project that Milton was involved in for many years. And so with that, I'll turn it over to Dr. Brodsky.
The dynamic duo and I first met at Stamford Hospital event in 2011. The event started with my presentation about our patient-centered model at the Center for Integrative Medicine and Wellness to optimize function and improve quality of life. I had the opportunity to exchange introductions with this extraordinary couple. I was deeply moved by how integrative medicine had touched their families' lives, especially the healing power that their daughter Laura had found in yoga. In time, after meeting Norma and Milton Mann, I learned about the many inspiring ways that they had contributed, engaged, and deeply impacted the community. We at the Integrative Medicine Center are personally grateful for the Mann's vision and generosity as well. The gift of the Laura Mann Scholarship created the Integrative Medicine Fellowship at our center. With Milt, Norma, and the Mann family's partnership, we've developed a nationally recognized 2-year training program that provides an opportunity for newly graduated medical doctors to learn about a lifestyle approach to wellness and health. At the same time, the fellowship program has provided a cost-effective way for our center to expand and meet demand of our growing patient numbers in the community and beyond. Even more special for me was friendship with Milt, Norma, and their 2 daughters, Madeline and Pamela. Conversations with Norma were always fun and insightful, usually over our shared preference for the dinner fish selection with olive oil, no butter please, at hospital functions. She lived her life to the fullest, surrounded by love from family, friends, and her assistants at home. She even went on a vacation to Florida as she battled the later stages of her incurable disease. When I was invited by the Mann Family Foundation to present grand rounds at the University of Vermont, I realized the impact of Laura's work in our community and how Norma, Milt, Madeline, and Pamela continue to transform patient care in that community as part of her legacy. And Milt, well, many of you know, he was a fun-loving guy. He was there and participated in some of the community endeavors that I put together along with my center. A lecture by a recent Miss America at Chelsea Piers in Stamford about awareness of eating disorders, a hot chili pepper annual festival in the Healing Garden behind Tully Health Center that was created by our center in Bartlett Arboretum, and a fundraiser at ShopRite where my gelato recipe was sold and all proceeds were donated to the American Heart Association Heart Walk. It was always great to catch up with Milt, usually when he was in the neighborhood and was just dropped by our clinic to check in over some tea. We also had a tradition of lunch every few months at Kotobuki, a Japanese restaurant near his office. I want to share a story about our most recent lunch together, and unfortunately it was our last one, about Milt's charm and spirit. Milt, with his walker, made his way from the door of the restaurant to the closest table, very gradually and deliberately. After some time, actually a lot of time, he made his way into his chair, composed himself, looked up at me, and with that sparkle in his eye and grin, remarked, "Piece of cake." Good times I have enjoyed with Norma, Milt, and the Mann family at various sorts of get-togethers in Vermont, Connecticut, and New York City. I am most grateful for their friendship and mentorship, along with their wit, creative thinking, and their profound contributions to our community and beyond. This concludes my tribute. Please welcome me in honoring the recipients of the 2015 Jewish Historical Society Heritage Award, Norman and Milton Mann.
Religious life was very important to Norma and Milt, and Temple Bethel played a very important role in their lives as they raised their children and beyond. And with that, I'd like to bring up Rabbi Hammerman, who not only helped us with technical difficulties, but is going to pay a tribute to Milton and Norma.
So now I'm going to play the piano. No, I'm not going to play the piano. David does such a great job of that. And in fact, I should mention, not even shamelessly, that a week from exactly right now, plus about an hour, we will be welcoming officially Cantor Fishman here with a Cantor's Concert, which has its own journal. And the journal is to welcome her and her family. And I'm saying that only because, not because I'm plugging another event, but because it is a historic event. And I think for Norma and Milton, the most important history is the history that has yet to be made. And I know that we're focusing on the past here, but I think if we were to really fulfill their wishes, it would be for that little timeline, of which I am painfully close to the middle, to extend all the way around this room. And at that point, Door La Door was something Norma talked about all the time. It was the theme of many of her Women's League campaigns for JTS. Generation to Generation, the song that we heard. So that's why I'm mentioning next week's concert, okay? But also so that you'll come. I must confess this is very, very difficult. And it's not difficult in that it's painful or hard to do. I do many funerals, many eulogies, but because I don't know how to treat this. I know that Milton and Norma both would have wanted, and we sort of succeeded in making their funerals into celebrations. But this so soon after that, after Milton's funeral, is hard to be made into a celebration. I think the best way to do it is to say that Milton wanted this to happen, and he had the choice. Primarily, I think he wanted it to happen because of Norma. And he, with his self-deprecating sense of humor, would have said, Norma was the one who made history in this town. And it's true, only one person could be the first woman to lead our federation, the first woman to be a board member of Bethel, the first woman to have an aliyah at Bethel, the first woman to be counted in the minyan at Bethel. And unless Milton was planning to be on the cover of Vanity Fair, it was going to be Norma. And so it was. And he knew the last time that I spoke with him, which was, saw him a few times that week, but we really had a conversation about 4 or 5 days before he passed away. I knew how important this was and how important it was because of Norma, and how also his sense of humor came through in the strangest ways, in every way. He had a very earthy sort of sense of the absurd in a way, and his very close friend, Hirsch Lebo, also was near death at the time, and Hirsch was the one who made the video that we saw just a snippet of, Susan's wonderful documentary, really, I mean, that should be seen by everyone, but the interviews should be seen by everyone. So I'm asking Jewish Historical Society, when you figure out how to run a computer and a projector, then the next step is to perfect that website so that we can access all of these videos at all times. Just youtube.com, go there, you'll figure it out. And I probably already have. I'm sorry to be facetious, but it's so important because I've seen that video of Norma and Milton interviewed by Hirsch Lebo, and Milton was like in this sort of race with Hirsch, you know, this sense of this absurdity of when, you know, we will get to see each other again soon and who would go first. And he knew that, he understood that. And so he would have this sense of sort of the absurd of being here today, of what would happen here today. And that's why it's so wonderful to have the Millers represented here. And we wish only good health to Irwin and to Vivian, because this is about celebrating everyone in our community. Milton would probably even, you know, say that whoever is nominated to be next year's honoree might want to think twice, given the fortunes that have befallen everyone. This is what we as Jews do. We take moments of tragedy and we make them sweet. And we find the sweet in all of the bitter. We find the charoset in the maror. And this is what Norma and Milton were able to do through some sad events that happened. They were always able to see the good and always able to celebrate life to the fullest. So I think that's our real tribute to them today. That not only were they the first family of Jewish Stamford in so many ways, and certainly here at Temple Bethel, but they were able to take that history and propel us into the future so that we will have a wonderful future here. And they will always be here in spirit in this building, physically next door, but very much inspirationally throughout our Jewish community. And so to Madeline and Pamela and to your families, all of our deepest sympathies, but all of our deepest appreciation for the good work and the love that your parents brought us. Thank you.
Thank you, Rabbi Hammerman. Gail? I think we don't do this yet, so let's... Norma and Milton Mann, in many ways you were larger than life. Norma, a powerhouse and trailblazer as the first president of the United Jewish Federation. Milton, modest and ever seeking the limelight, so effective in making things happen. He was kind enough to host our last sport event in his beautiful setting at 69 Studio Road. And he really thought about accepting this award. And when I asked him, he was in Florida and came back, said he wanted to think about it. And I don't know if he spoke to you about it, but he decided, I know that he wanted to have Norma remembered, and he wanted to be here for it, and it's sad that he's not, but it's something that he wanted, and we can just hope that we are remembering them now and into the future for all the good things and the legacy that they left. So,
So we, the Jewish Historical Society of Fairfield County, want to give your family a special and lasting honor in memory of your parents. Therefore, I am excited and pleased to announce the creation of the Norma and Milton Mann Memorial JHS Lecture. Our hope, by bringing in a scholar of renown, in that we honor the principles and values your parents cherished, Since May is Jewish American History Month, we plan to present this lecture in May in honor of their love of history and Judaism. Their legacy will live on through this new event, and our memories of them will be renewed.
And with that, we have a musical tribute that was one of their favorites, Over the Rainbow by Harold Arlen.
When all the world is a hopeless jumble and the raindrops stumble all around, heaven, open a magic lane. When all the clouds darken up the skyway, there's a rainbow highway to be found, leading from your window pane to a place beyond the clouds, just a step beyond the rain. Somewhere over the rainbow, way up high, there's a land that I've heard of once in a lullaby. Somewhere over the rainbow, skies are blue, and the dreams that you dare to dream really do come true. אשאל כוכב, כוכב זוהר, איך מגיעים לשם, ספר, ספר לי. בתוך הכחול, החק מעל, שם כל כאב נמוך קטן, שמה Someday I wish upon a star and wake up where the clouds are far behind me, where troubles melt like lemon drops away above the chimney tops. That's where you'll find me, somewhere over the rainbow. Birds fly over the rainbow. Why, then why can't I? If happy little bluebirds fly beyond the rainbow, why, oh, why can't I?
That was remarkable. Thank you so much. I know that Norma and Milton would have loved to have heard that rendition. We should have had some photos of them running, but what we'll do is we'll run it at the end of the program if we can get some technical assistance. And to conclude our program, I'd like Peter Lilienthal to come up so that we can actually look to the future with our emerging leaders. And I'll turn the mic over to Peter.
La Dorvador. Beautiful tributes today, wonderful people. And I would like very much for everyone to turn to the inside cover of your program. And I'd like Rachel Harone, Emily Hernberg, Rebecca Ruberg, Robin Tridell, and Leah Schechter to come forward, please. First of all, I'd like to say, lucky, lucky me. I've had a chance to work with each of these young leaders. To call them emerging leaders is a mistake. They are all accomplished leaders at their young age. They have dedicated their mission to spend time with young people. And when you think of La Dorvador, this young group of people are working with young people and giving them Jewish values in every possible way. Their bios are in that inside cover. I will not read them. I would ask that you do, and you'll realize how tremendous each one of these young women are. And I thank you so much for being part of our program, and we are honored, in fact, to present this to you. I'd like to read one of the plaques, if I could, just so you know what we're giving these young leaders. Thank you. This happens to be Robin's. And it says, the Jewish Historical Society of Fairfield County honors, in this case, Robin Tridell, as an emerging young leader in the Jewish community who is contributing to our Jewish heritage through outstanding service to youth and young adults. Thank you all very much, and congratulations.
We need a
couple of shorts right here.
So while we're taking this, I'd just like to say thank you all for attending our 30th celebration, and I want to invite you all to have some refreshments and dessert, and continue to view the exhibits and add any comments to the timeline that's on display. And hopefully the desserts are in the back, and also if you'd like to look at the photos, we'll run them during the dessert time. Thank you all again for making this a special afternoon.